Ave Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Jesus summoned the 12 and began to send them out 2 by 2 and gave them authority over unclean spirits. He instructed them to take nothing for the journey but a walking stick, no food, no sack, no money in their belts. They were, however, to wear sandals, but not a second tunic. He said to them, "Wherever you enter a house, stay there until you leave from there. Whatever place does not welcome you or listen to you, leave there and shake the dust off your feet in testimony against them." So they went off and preached repentance. The 12 drove out many demons, and they anointed with oil many who were sick and cured them. The Gospel of the Lord.
Some of you might know Father Matthew Schultz, who's the pastor up in Lancaster now, but he was just ordained a little over a year ago. And Father Schultz he's done this many times. He's taken pilgrimages of young people, mostly college students, to do the Way of St. James, the pilgrimage, probably the second most famous pilgrimage in the whole world, which is to Santiago de Compostela in Spain. And this pilgrimage has been going on for over 1,000 years, where pilgrims would walk from usually some point in France. It's about 900 kilometers if you do the whole thing. But as long as you do 100 kilometers of it, it counts as having been a pilgrim. And so they would go and they would do about 100 kilometers. It's about a week's long pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela. And when they do this, they take this pilgrimage very seriously. They would not bring any money with them, just as Jesus talks about in the gospel and about going out, not taking, just having basically the sandals on your feet, your walking stick, the clothes on your back, and taking nothing with you, but to go out and to preach the gospel. Well, what they would do is they'd bring just their guitars and some juggling stuff, and they would come to different points along the way, and they would juggle and sing in order to earn a little bit of money from other pilgrims who would give them some money, a free donation, so that they could buy food for the day and stay at one of the hostels for the night. And whatever money they got, they would take 10% of it and they would give it to the poor right off the top. And then they would buy their food, they would eat what they needed. If there was any left over, they would give that to the poor. They would stay the night, and they would do the same thing again the next day. It's a great way of really learning dependence on God, because that's the reason why Jesus tells his disciples this, that they should take nothing for the journey. They should take nothing really but their faith, that they have to trust in God completely, fully, in order to be able to go out and to preach the gospel as he has instructed them. That they shouldn't be relying on themselves, but they need to rely on him. And that is a message that's important for all of us. We must be dependent on God. We have to depend on him for everything. He gives us the words to speak. He gives us the grace to be able to share the gospel with other people. Now, he also gives us reason. And so he gives us minds to think with. And so we do have to study, and we do have to use our minds in order to gain knowledge so that we can be better witnesses to the gospel. But ultimately, everything that we do comes from his grace. And so let us depend on him always, especially in our efforts of evangelizing.
Regina Celi, let